Hey there, it's Jenna from the Intern Hustle, and I know you because a lot of students are in this boat right now. I know you probably have some internship interviews coming up, so I wanted to pull together this video with some interview mistakes that I see people making that are so easy to avoid. Because sometimes it just comes down to a matter of awareness. Once you hear the interview mistakes in this video, you'll think, of course, that makes so much sense, but I can see how these trip people up. So with that in mind, hit that like button if you're ready to save yourself from these avoidable interview mistakes. And don't forget to subscribe and tap that bell to be notified for new videos every single week on this channel. Okay, before we dive in, I have a ton of videos to help you prepare for your internship and job interviews on this channel, which means I've covered a lot of great tips already. However, the tips in this video, aside from maybe one, I've never shared here before. Some of the tips are so obvious, yet they aren't mentioned enough to those who are just getting started with interviewing. So if that's you, then pay attention, because for that reason alone, I am excited to share these tips with you today. Let's jump in. The first mistake that is super easy for you to avoid when you're in an internship interview is eating the wrong thing or nothing before an interview. Look, food is fuel, and what you eat can have a big impact on your mood and performance. Here are a few things to keep in mind when fueling up before your interview. 1, make sure that you eat something, because showing up on an empty stomach could be very distracting for you and others depending on how loud your stomach growls. But not to mention, your brain won't be firing on all cylinders when you're answering interview questions because it doesn't have the fuel that it needs to focus or think straight. So make sure that you eat something. Number 2, don't overeat. I don't know about you, but the last thing that I want in an interview is to feel so full that I'm bloated and uncomfortable. Now is not the time to attempt eating an entire Chicago deep dish pizza by yourself, although I am all for deep dish pizza, but maybe let's stick to lighter meals before our interviews. Number 3, don't get too hyped up on caffeine. You're already gonna have a lot of natural adrenaline pumping before an interview. So back off the coffee a bit and maybe just stick to 1 cup. You don't wanna be so jittery in an interview that you talk extremely fast and find it hard to focus. Number 4, stay away from smelly foods. Anything with a lot of garlic or onions, for example, may not go over so well when you're sitting across the table from someone holding a conversation for 30 minutes to an hour in an interview. I had a Cobb salad with red onions in it the other day, and I could not kick the onion taste or smell for half the day. So be mindful of what you're eating. Okay, so that's the first mistake that's really easy to avoid, is just eating the wrong thing or nothing before an interview. Let's move on to the second one, which is turning up at the wrong location or the wrong time zone. So if you have an in-person interview, make sure that you confirm the exact location for the interview. If this information isn't provided to you in your interview calendar invite or your email exchange with the recruiter, then ask for it. Some companies have multiple office locations. Some recruiters prefer to do initial interviews with candidates at coffee shops. And some may intend for it to be a phone interview and assume that you know that. It doesn't hurt to confirm this information up front, but it could hurt you if you don't bother to confirm it. Along these same lines, make sure that you're clear on time zone. This is most relevant if you have a phone or video interview and the company has multiple locations across different time zones. But with the number of companies that have remote workers these days, time zone confusion can apply to just about any company. So figure out what time zone the interview is scheduled for and make sure that you have this set accordingly on your calendar so that you don't miss it. Okay, the third interview mistake that is really easy to avoid is forgetting to turn off your devices. So cell phones are an obvious distraction, and it's really frowned upon to have your cell phone ringer or notifications going off during an interview. I recommend just turning your phone off altogether so that you are not second guessing if you put your phone on silent mode. It's like second guessing if you locked the car. Your brain has a hard time fully concentrating on anything else until you're 100% sure that you did it. So don't put yourself in that position with your phone ringer. Just turn it off. I promise you'll survive without it for an hour. In addition to your phone, make sure that you've turned off all of your notifications on any other devices that you may have with you during an interview. This goes for watches, tablets, and computers. If this is a video interview over Zoom or a similar medium, then close out any other applications or browser tabs that may also be distracting for you or allow for distracting pop-ups or notifications during an interview. Okay, the fourth interview mistake that is super easy to avoid is showing up empty-handed. Look, A baseball player wouldn't walk into a tryout without their glove. You shouldn't walk into an interview without a copy of your resume, a notebook and a pen, a portfolio of your work if applicable, and a student business card if you've made one. Copies of your resume are nice to have on hand in case a person interviewing you hasn't had a chance to review your resume yet. Plus, your resume makes for a great study tool if you find yourself with some extra time in the lobby waiting for the interview to begin. Bring a notebook and pen because it's always a good idea to take notes during an interview. And contrary to what you may think, this is not frowned upon. Rather, it shows the person or people who are interviewing you that you care and that you're taking this opportunity seriously. And if you have them, a portfolio to show examples of your work in the context of answering interview questions, and a student business card to leave a little something behind with the people that you meet during an interview. Both of those can go a long way. All right, and the fifth interview mistake that is super easy to avoid that I'm going to share with you in this video is a huge one, in my opinion. And this is failing to ask about next steps. You can save yourself a lot of stress and guesswork if you simply remember to ask this question at the end of your interview. What are the next steps in your hiring process? How they answer will give you a sense of their timeline and when they're hoping to make decisions by. This is helpful for you as you plan your follow-ups for after the interview. Regardless of what they say, you should always follow up with a thank you immediately following your interview. More on that in this video. But it's also good to understand their process so that you can plan subsequent follow-ups if you haven't heard back from them by when you were expecting to. A good follow-up strategy can make all the difference in getting an internship or a job that you're going after. So give yourself a head start by asking about next steps before you leave your interview. If you're here watching this video, then you're already taking great steps toward rocking your interview. I am rooting for you. Don't forget to check out all of the other interview preparation videos that I have for you on this channel. I've created a playlist so that you can conveniently binge them all at once if you'd like. It's the most popular playlist I have, and I've linked it for you in the description below. And I'd love to hear from you. What interview question do you struggle with answering the most? Let me know in the comments. In the meantime, here's the video I recommend you check out next. Thanks for watching. If this video gave you some new insights today, please give it a like and share it with a friend or two. Hit that subscribe button below so that you don't miss out on future videos. In support of your hustle, I'm Jenna from the InternHustle.com, and I'll see you next Monday.